Congressman Ellison serves on the House Judiciary Committee. I asked Congressman Ellison what was new in the investigation of the U.S. Attorney scandal.
You know, it's difficult to tell you what's new because it's all new, right? I don't think there's ever been a case in the history of this country before when an applicant for a job at the U.S. Attorney's Office was asked, who do you donate to, Democrats or Republicans? Are you a Democrat or Republican? What is your position on choice versus pro-life? And then based on the outcome of those answers, the person would either get the job or not get the job. That's new. And again, you know, we've gone through the Nixonian period, gone through Reagan, and still there was at least some respect for the institutions that were non-political in nature. But fact is that Monica Goodling admitted that she did these things. There was a recent report that was issued that made it clear that in fact there had been a gross politicization of the U.S. Attorney's Office and the Justice Department, and this inspector report made it clear that Monica Goodling was a part of it. I don't buy that she was the cause of it. I think she was given a green light and told to make sure that she infuses the federal bureaucracy with a right-wing stamp so that they could last beyond even their tenure in office. But it's worked to the distinct disadvantage of American people. We've had phantom or fake voting fraud cases go forward. We've had a complete neglect of legitimate violations of voting rights cases. Never anyone prosecuted for these incredibly bad scrub lists that were in Florida. People who were legitimate voters kicked off the list, denied the right to vote because they were erroneously identified as felons. Who's going to pay for that? Even in our own state of Minnesota, at the Red Lake Indian Reservation in the 2004 election, 2 individuals from the RNC were so disruptive of the rights of Native Americans living on that reservation to vote that they had to be kicked off the res because they were just that disruptive to the voting process. But there's more. Mr. Thomas Heffelfinger was never fired, but he certainly was put on a list to be fired. And the only evidence anybody can find that maybe as to why was that he was devoting too much time to things in Indian country. He wasn't aware of it, that he was on the list to be fired, but we know now that he was. This is another shame. One of the big fights that occurred was that he said that people could use their tribal ID to vote. Mary Kiffmeyer, our former Secretary of State, said they couldn't, and the issue was ultimately resolved in Heffelfinger's favor. But you got to wonder if his name arriving on that list had something to do with that fact. So, the U.S. Attorney scandal is sort of new in and of itself. More recent developments include the issuance of this report that I referred to earlier by the inspector that looked at whether there was a politicization. There clearly was. Monica Goodling, in the report she made to Congress, in which I questioned her, admitted she, quote unquote, and this is a quote, crossed the line. And so there's no doubt about it, but I think this is a clear case of a 34-year-old young staffer taking the hit for direction she was given, and I think she anticipates it should be richly rewarded for that, but I think we need more investigation.
What is happening with the Don Siegelman case?
Well, in terms of Governor Siegelman, I certainly hope we do get to the very bottom of that prosecution. It, in my view, was a travesty of justice. Governor Siegelman had held every top elective office in Alabama, was very positive and highly regarded, and then was a target of several highly political prosecutions, which he's out now, but at one point landed him in prison and behind bars, and that was a shame and a low point. Will we see Karl Rove have to answer? I don't know. I mean, the Congress, the House Judiciary Committee has issued a subpoena for Karl Rove. He has refused to appear. He has not asserted any privilege on the record. And we then issued a resolution finding him in contempt. And that then has to go to proceed to the floor. And if it does, he then will either have to appear and assert a privilege, or will have a penalty every day that he doesn't. What will that penalty be? I don't know. Could be a fine, could be loss of his freedom.